Welcome back to my channel. I'm James, and this channel's for everyone worldwide that likes all these great movies and TV series. Now today's a classic 1958 thriller, mystery, murder mystery, and it's got a lot of noir in it, and it is one of those great classic movies. And this one kind of came out of nowhere. The release of this was announced and then it kind of was released. So this was an exciting one to get in and dive into. So today we're going to deep dive into Touch of Evil on 4K Ultra HD. And this is the brand new 4K remaster, scan, and restoration that's released by Kino Lorber. And this is one of those, like I kind of said a little bit ago, was kind of a surprise. I was really surprised they decided to do a brand new 4K scan and restoration on this. Now this is one of those films that I was really excited to see how the upgrade to 4K would be in comparison to the previous Universal Blu-ray release. So we're going to be doing my exclusive 4K versus the previous Blu-ray release from Universal's image comparison in this review. And that's something I've done hundreds of times and I do exclusively here on this YouTube channel. I get all the data off of the disc, show you the image comparison side by side. That way it gives you a more detailed presentation of what you're actually getting in this upgrade and if it's something that is worth upgrading or something you should skip. Now, this review should be coming out about 2 weeks before release date. I did get this in about 2 weeks early before the release date to dive into this review and get this review out for all of you early. That way you can decide if this is something you should pre-order or if you should buy and spend the money to upgrade to. Now, as always, when I'm going through the reviews, I always put the links for all of these listed in the description section right below this video and as a pinned comment in the comment section. So if you decide after watching this review, I'm going to go through and do my unboxing, talk about the movie, do the image comparisons that are exclusive here. Then I'm also going to sum it up at the end and give you my total review score of how this would compare to previous 4K releases and restorations and remasters that I've reviewed hundreds of those here on this YouTube channel. So if you do decide to pick this up after my review score at the end, make sure to go down to one of those links either in the description section or as a pinned comment in the comment section below. Now starting off here with Touch of Evil, I'm going to start off with the Blu-ray comparison up here of the original Universal Blu-ray release that came out. This is the original unfiltered screenshots, and I've talked about this hundreds of times over the years, but I'm just going to refresh here. What you see here is the standard Blu-ray presentation of what you see on the discs, without using any upscaling software, things like that, that could try to make it slightly look better. This is what's actually present on the discs. Now, I'm going to show you the 4K image of what you're going to get on the 4K Ultra HD release. Now, there is one slight thing that's different on the 4K screenshots you're going to see above. The difference is that YouTube's algorithm only allows standard HDR. Well, the interesting thing is this did get Dolby Vision and HDR10 on it. And the Dolby Vision and HDR10 presentations do look substantially better than even the standard HDR you see above. So keep in mind what you see up there will only, as always, look better on your home TV that's a 4K that has HDR10 or Dolby Vision, as well as if your player can play Dolby Vision or HDR10, it will look better because that is just standard HDR. Now, what you probably noticed right off the bat is compared to the previous Universal release, this one does have a lot more clarity. Obviously, there is more sharpness to the image, but there are some things that are going to surprise you later on that I'm going to get to here later on in my review. But just talking about the image you see up there versus the Blu-ray here, it did add a lot more detail to it. Obviously, with the HDR implementation with HDR10 and Dolby Vision, there's much more shades of grays and blacks and obviously different shades of whites, which do add a lot to black and white films. And I've been really interested to see how HDR and 4K representations on these 4K restorations and remasters really come out with a lot of these films that are in black and white because they don't have all the shades of color. They only have limited things with all the blacks, the whites, the grays to go through those. But it really does make a difference on a lot of these, especially with the native 4K 2160p representation that's on this disc. When they went back and Kino Lorber scanned this and did the new remaster and 4K restoration on this, they did it in a native 4K 2160p, and it does look really nice on this. Though there are some caveats that we're going to get to a little later on that are important things that I need to share with all of you about this release. Now, if you enjoy these types of videos and reviews that I do here on my YouTube channel, make sure to go down and give this video a like, a thumbs up for me, and make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell notification. That way you never miss out on any of this exclusive content. Now, Touch of Evil came out in 1958, and to be honest, it has a very storied history of what happened with the film. Basically, Orson Welles, who's actually in the film as well, he actually acts in it, he wrote it, he directed it, and he actually had done the film, and basically Universal, when they went to release it, didn't like it, decided to edit it down. Basically, he wasn't a part of that. They kind of butchered the film, and when it came out, it didn't do very well in the US. Internationally, it did later on. There were several different cuts of the film. Well, here's what's interesting about this release from Kino Lorber. They did a great job with giving all 3 cuts of the film in here. So all 3 cuts of the film do have HDR10 and Dolby Vision options on them, and they're all native 4K 2160p scans, restorations on each of the discs in here. So the nice thing is you don't have to choose which cut you like. Obviously there's the theatrical cut, then there's the preview version, and then there's also my favorite, which is the Reconstructed Cut. They all have different run times as well. So to give you an example, the theatrical cut runs 96 minutes. Then you have the preview version, and that one was kind of one that they sent out originally and then they edited down. That one runs about 109 minutes. Now my favorite, which is the Reconstructed Cut, that one is the one that's trying to basically adhere to as closely to what Orson Welles originally intended after he wrote that 58-page basically essay to Universal saying, hey, I wish you would restore it to what I had worked on. I put so much hard work into this. And I did like on the Reconstructed Cut, it does have the intro explaining about that, which I really do think adds to the film history and the elements of what make this such a classic noir cinema that really is something as cinephiles, we should be really excited that they did release this with all 3 cuts, brand new HDR, brand new 4K restoration, full 4K. I mean, it's really cool they released them each on individual discs as well. Now in the Reconstructed Cut, it is 111 minutes. So it's the longest version of them all, but in my opinion, it's the easiest to follow. Because it follows so closely to what Orson Welles originally intended it to be, I really do feel that that is the best version to watch. And if you're watching it for the first time, that's the one I suggest you start with. Theatrical Cut to me was just very cut up and mismatched, and there's so many missing elements and missing story beats that kind of leave things hanging, or you don't quite get why somebody did something, or it doesn't explain somebody's motives. And because it is very kind of like a Hitchcockian, in my opinion, like mystery thriller with a lot of noir and just dripping with style, and the acting's outstanding in it. I mean, there's just so many good acting and performances in it that really do make this just a really great film that I wish originally Orson Welles would have been able to finish his vision the exact way he wanted it. But the Reconstructed Cut's as close as we get. So, but you do get all 3 options in here on 3 separate 4K Ultra HD discs. As I've been sharing with all of you, because all of you enjoy this 4K versus Blu-ray image comparisons that I do here exclusively on my channel, and how much hard work and time this takes for me to get all this data off of the disc and create all of these videos for all of you to watch and enjoy. The only way I can continue to provide all this content for all of you, my viewers and subscribers, to enjoy is through the support of all of you. There's several ways you can help to support this YouTube channel. First would be by donating through the PayPal donate link that I have on the main page here of my YouTube channel, as well as it'll be pinned in the comment section below the links for if you decide to pre-order or buy any of these that I'm reviewing, as well as I'll post it in the description section under each video. When you donate through that PayPal donate link, that goes straight back into this channel and gives the most of your donation straight back, so that way I can keep providing you all this content here that you enjoy watching on my YouTube channel. I am only supported by all of you, my viewers and subscribers. So the only way I can continue to keep providing all of this is from all of your donations and support. There's also the super thanks button down below that if you decide you want to support through that, they take a little bit more in fees out of that, but you can donate and support through the super thanks button on each and every video as well. So both of those donate links just go straight back into this channel, helps me to keep going out, getting all this content in early, because I have to buy all of this at full price, spend all of my time working full time to get all the data off of these discs to compile and make all of these exclusive testings and reviews that all of you enjoy watching. I do really appreciate all of your love and support. Also, if you're going to pick up any of these releases that I review here on my YouTube channel, make sure to go down to one of those links that I've posted either in the description section or as a pinned comment. Takes you straight out to Amazon at no extra charge to you. That helps support this YouTube channel just a little bit as well. So make sure if you decide you want to pre-order and pick this up, to click through one of those links down there. That helps support this channel as well. Now on Touch of Evil, we do get English DTS HD Master Audio 2.0. That's the original audio mix that was on the original Blu-ray release. So I couldn't tell any difference between the Blu-ray release and this. Audio difference wise, it sounded very similar. So that didn't really get an upgrade audio wise. What you'll notice is the big upgrade visual wise versus what the original Blu-ray did. Now when I get to my review score later, I've got some things to touch on about that as well. But visual wise, it does have a better visual image overall. They did clean up quite a bit of it, though there still is quite a bit of film damage. And I'll touch on that here for a second. The film damage that's left over in this is something that I don't know that they could ever really repair unless they spent $10 million, $5 million, whatever it is, to spend a full team that went and restored this for a full year. And they're simply not going to do that. With the amount of popularity of this film and things like that, it's not something like Star Wars or even Star Trek where they've spent millions and millions to go and restore those films. And that's where I was really surprised this even got a new 4K restoration by Kino Lorber, and that this even came out on 4K as is. I'm excited it did, because it is one of those films that I really do think is a really great cinema masterpiece to sit back and enjoy. Just the writing, the acting. There's so many great elements in it that really add to why it is such an enjoyable film. And the reconstructed piece is just something to really sit back and enjoy and see what we actually got to enjoy more of Orson Welles' masterpiece. But with that caveat that I talked about earlier in this review, there is a lot of damage present on the film. There's white lines throughout it, there's speckles, there's smudges. The film grain in it, there is film grain throughout it, and at first it was pretty stable. Later on throughout the film, it doesn't matter which version I watched, they all had similar areas where the grain would fluctuate. It wasn't very stable in some areas. Then it would go back to being perfectly stable. Now, was it so horrible that it was like going to make you nauseous, or it was going so bad in and out? No, it wasn't that bad, but it was noticeable, the grain fluctuations throughout it. And they were spread out in few, but they were noticeable when they happened. The more noticeable things is the white lines that are still in the films, some of the cuts in the films that basically didn't go through quite as smooth as they would have wanted, and they did work on it. And here's where I want to talk about the previous Blu-ray release you're seeing above. The previous Blu-ray release I thought was not a great release in any shape or form. It was soft, it was fuzzy, obviously it had all the damage on the film, there was tons of it still present on it, though compared to the DVD releases or VHS before that, that Blu-ray was a big step up before. But to give you an example, on that Blu-ray release before, I would have probably given that somewhere in a 6.0 range for my review score. That's what I thought of that Blu-ray release. So take that into account when I get to my review score later on, that Blu-ray would have been in about a 6.0 range. So on this one, there is a lot of things they went and repaired and fixed to make it look better, and I do appreciate that. Kino Lorber did a great job. They left the natural film grain, but they went and repaired a lot of the tears, and there was even more so of the white lines throughout it, speckles, smudges, and this had a lot less fluctuations in the film grain than the original Blu-ray release did. So Kino Lorber did the best they could and really did a good job, I think, with what they had available and their budget for this 4K Ultra HD release. And to be honest, I don't know that we're ever going to get something better than this 4K, because with a lot of these films that are maybe not as well known as some of the big titles, like I say, with like Star Wars that everybody knows, or Superman or Batman or whatever the case is, I'm really surprised this did get a 4K. I'm happy it did, because I always love when classic films get some proper restorations, and I do like and think that because this came out in 1958, really they did some great work to make this look the best it's ever looked. Now, this does have English subtitles on it, and it did retain technically what there's arguments out there if this was the original aspect ratio, but it's the aspect ratio it was released in theaters at, so I'll say that much. It does have the original theatrical aspect ratio of 1.85 to 1, and that's on all three cuts of the films. And like I was talking about with all three cuts of the films, you'll notice the same things throughout all of them, no matter which one you like and no matter which one you watch. Audio quality was the same, and visual quality, you're still going to get those slight grain fluctuations throughout with some of the white tears and white scratches and things like that, though they're a lot less heavy and a lot of them were fixed, and there's a lot more repaired in this than what was ever repaired on that original Blu-ray release. Now, showing you what you get in this, I love the new cover art on it. I really like the slipcover that came on this. Has Touch of Evil on the side with Kino Lorber. Then it goes into talking about the specs on this. Now, I will touch on the special features here. You do get a bunch of new special features that Kino Lorber commissioned for this release, audio commentaries and things like that. And it does retain the special features that were from the original Blu-ray release as well. So you're not really missing out on anything from the original Blu-ray release by getting this 4K. So that was a nice upgrade as well. Now on the back here, it does talk about something interesting. When this film was reconstructed and done with the reconstructed release, it did get rated PG-13. Originally it was released in theaters, it was not rated. So it's kind of interesting because they re-rated it PG-13 because there was a lot more things with murder and things going on violence-wise that did raise the rating to PG-13. I thought that was a nice little touch that they kind of added that on the back of the box to kind of show the difference. Now, when you get inside here, you have your Kino Lorber disc, says Kino Lorber. It says which version they are. So this is the reconstructed version, which I moved over here. It was actually behind this disc originally. Then you have the theatrical version, and then they're stacked on top of each other, which when you do this, you kind of got to be careful because they come out. So you have them both stacked on top of each other, which it's fine. It doesn't damage the disc. Just be careful when you go to take them off, that as you see, when you pull one off, the other one comes out behind. So just make sure you grab both at the same time. Good thing was, when I did it originally, I was standing over my bed, so it dropped on my bed the first time. But basically, that was a little something I did notice. Would I rather the leaflet? I don't know. The leaflets a lot of the times break, and I found they've been very fragile with how they make them in 4K cases. So I guess this is a more stable way. Just be understanding that when you take them out, be a little careful when you take out both discs out of it. Now, talking about the discs here, they are on BD100s. Each one of the cuts of the films is on a BD100. It has plenty of room for the special features, audio, subtitles, and for each cut of the film. I love how Kino Lorber did that. Did not compress them down and did not try to shove them onto 2 discs or onto 1 disc. Gave them plenty of room to breathe, so that's good news. Each one of the discs, for my international audience and worldwide audience, each one of these discs is region free. Even though there are a lot of Blu-rays and some 4Ks around the world that get region locked, the good news is, so far, Kino Lorber's 4K releases, the most of them that I've tested, have been region free. And these are. So that means if you want to import it to your country, go down through that link I put in the description section below. Amazon will ship it worldwide to you. Click through that link, it'll ship it out there. You'll have no issues playing any of these discs, and you'll get to enjoy this great restoration. Now, because I'm kind of surprised that this actually exists and that Kino Lorber went and did a 4K restoration and remaster on this, it's an exciting release, and it's an exciting time for physical media collectors. If you're not into collecting physical media, you're really missing out, because we're getting things like these outstanding releases that, to be honest with you, the HD, as you've seen above of that Blu-ray release, just looks downright horrible in comparison to this. Though, like I did say earlier, keep in mind my review score that I would have given that would have been in the 6s. So, talking about this here, I really struggled with my review score for this release, and I'll explain why here. Normally I don't. As I've been reviewing for years now, and I've done hundreds of 4K releases and review scores, I keep a running review score tally of each review score that I do and go back to compare between each releases. How do they compare to other restorations? How do they compare to other releases from that time period? How do they compare in general to remasters and restorations of companies that have done similar things? And that's how I kind of go through all of these to compare, hey, how does this compare visual, audio, special features, and what does it stand on its own? How does it look? Well, this is where I struggled with Touch of Evil. It has a lot of damage still present on the film. Now, you might think, well, hey, that's kind of because it's from 1958, but there's numerous other films I've reviewed from around that time period. You know, I've done reviews on Some Like It Hot. I've done reviews on The Great Escape. I've done reviews on hundreds of older films, especially black and white ones as things as well. So in comparison, that's what I have to look at as general. There's still a lot of damage that's present on this, grain fluctuations and things that I talked about. So my review score for this is an 8.3. It's still a good review score, and I do recommend picking it up and supporting this. This is the best that I truly believe we will ever get on 4K Ultra HD. I don't know that we're ever going to see something better than this released for Touch of Evil. So therefore, I do think it needs to be supported, and it is a good release. Don't think it's not. It's just in comparison to a lot of other releases that they spent a lot more time fixing a lot of scratches and tears and things like that throughout the film. This one did still retain throughout each cut of the film quite a bit of little things along the way. And you'll notice them as you're watching. Just every once in a while they pop up here and there. They don't ruin the picture. They're not horrendous like that Blu-ray was. Blu-ray, like I said, in the 6s was just horrible. I really thought, yeah, it looked better than the DVDs and better than the VHS, but they could have done so much more with it and spent so much more time to make it look even so much better. Well, this is an upgrade from a 6 to an 8.3. And that's why I wanted to explain the difference so you kind of understand what the upgrade difference is. As always, I'm going to be upfront and honest with all of you. That's something that I've always been known for here on my YouTube channel. And my integrity is very important to me. And that's why, yeah, I wanted to give it a higher review score. I wanted this to be like a 9, 9.5. But it honestly, in comparison to all the hundreds of titles I've reviewed and all of the 4K Ultra HDs and Blu-rays and all these restorations that have been done, this one does still just have quite a bit of damage throughout it that you will notice when you watch it. And therefore, I don't want to mislead you into thinking, hey, it's going to look perfectly beautiful, or hey, even like The Great Escape, you know, that really had a lot of stuff fixed on it that it didn't have much of anything damaged on it to notice throughout it. This you will. There are things still present. Do I think they're ever going to be fixed or get to where this looks perfect? No. And that's simply because of the time period of the film, because it's more stylized noir mystery that isn't just as well known, like I said, as some big films are out there. But I'm thrilled to have this. I do think and recommend you buying this. And I do think it is something you should add to your collection. If you haven't seen the film, if you kind of like Hitchcockian type thrillers, things like that, with some really good suspense in it, and really your mystery, wondering what's going on, this really is a really cool film, especially for the black and white genre. It really stands out with that Dolby Vision versus HDR10 representation that's in it. The Dolby Vision really did shine through it, and that's probably what you noticed in those screenshots versus what you see on the 4K there. Dolby Vision really brings out those lights to darks really strongly, and like, I don't know, if it was a neon film and you could have seen the neon lights basically that were going on back that time, you can almost imagine them because of that like sharp contrast on the HDR presentation on it. Kind of adds more so to that feeling of that stylized thriller that this film really is. So I'm very excited to own it, and I was really excited to review this and get into this. But that's where it got that 8.3, and I hope my explanation kind of helps you see the difference in light between the Blu-ray. It is a really good upgrade, and it is something that if you really want to add this film to your collection, it is highly recommended to add. It's just, don't expect it to be something that's completely fixed and perfect. It's not. And it does retain the original audio mix, so because of that, don't expect the audio to sound 100 times better either. It is what it was originally on that Blu-ray release. Let me know what your thoughts are on this film if you've seen it before. If you've not dived into this yet, if you're going to pick this up based on my review and my recommendations, make sure to start that conversation in the comment section below. I know this is another really advanced and early review, and I hope all of you are enjoying how early I've been working hard to get these in, to get these reviews out to all of you as soon as possible. That way you know if you want to pre-order these or order these. Make sure to comment below if you're going to pick this one up based on my review, and if you enjoyed this movie and are excited to see it in 4K Ultra HD. Make sure to go down in the description section below or in the pinned comments and make sure to give a donation down below. As I said, the only way I can continue to do this is through the support of all of you, my viewers and subscribers. So make sure to give a donation down below on each of these videos that you watch, or a super thanks. Also, I posted the link for this. If you're going to pick it up, go down to the description section or as that pinned comment, click through that link, takes you straight out to Amazon. That gives just a little bit back to this YouTube channel as well. So make sure if you decide you want to pre-order this or pick this up, click through that link below. Don't forget to give this video a like and a thumbs up for me. And if you're not subscribed yet, you gotta be subscribed. Click that subscribe button and that bell notification. I had a fun time today. This was a fun one. It's fun to dive into these old classic films. I know sometimes it's hard for a lot of you to get into these because you don't really know much about them. And so I'm hoping I'm shedding some light on a lot of these great classic films that really are something you should dive into, explore, watch, give a chance to, because to be honest with you, it might open your eyes into some of this world of great films that a lot of times nowadays people are into Marvel and Batman and Superman. It's not that they don't like those, but there's something different about films that didn't have special effects and had to stand on their own 2 feet with acting and writing alone. And that's where I feel like a lot of these classic films really were well done, well acted, and had phenomenal stars in them that really had to stand and shine on their own without special effects. So that's where I feel like you really need to give some of these classic films a chance. If you want some other great classic film reviews, I've done hundreds of them on my channel here. Go back and check out some of them. Like I said, Some Like It Hot, Great Escape, there's dozens of them that I've done. And there's some really great films that if you haven't seen, you're really missing out on some of these great classics. As always, I hope all of you have a blessed day. I've always got something new, early in advance, or exciting coming out very soon.